On behalf of Latvian Presidency, I would like to welcome all of you, the members of the ESPON family, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to ESPON Kick-Off Conference being organized with the close cooperation with the ESPON team and Jūrmala City Council. This event is of particular importance for Latvians dealing with regional development policy and spatial planning. After Latvia regained its independence, the need to establish democratic, decentralized spatial planning system appeared. At that time, the first European spatial planning development perspective has been adopted, becoming a source of inspiration for national policymakers. Nevertheless, only after 6 years after Latvia became a member of EU, the first long-term strategy for Latvia 2030 has been adopted by involving large number of stakeholders and policymakers. So thank you, ESPON, for the inspiration. And as a first speaker, I am with honor announce the Vice Mayor of Jūrmala, Miss Rita Sproģe, to speak on behalf of the Mayor of Jūrmala. Thanks to him, we have a possibility to hold meeting here in Jūrmala, the largest resort city of Latvia. And at the same time, Jūrmala is one of the most pleasant and scenic places in Latvia, exactly fitting into the theme of Latvian Presidency.
Paldies. Labrīt visiem klātesošajiem. Man prieks jūs redzēt Jūrmalā, pie mums skaistākajā Baltijas kurortu pilsētā, lielākajā Baltijas kurortu pilsētā.
Good morning, honorable guests. On behalf of Jūrmala City, I am delighted to welcome you in Jūrmala, the biggest and undoubtedly most beautiful resort city in the Baltic Sea region.
Jūrmala vēsturiski ir veidojusies kā atpūtīgi iecienīts galamērķis. Līdz ar to pilsētas ekonomika pamatā ir balstīta uz turismu un ar to saistītajiem pakalpojumiem. Tāpēc pašreiz mūsu pilsēta ir viens no vadošajiem centriem Baltijas jūras reģionā. Kurorta, darījuma pilsēta, aktīvās, atpūtas un kultūras jomā. Kurortoloģija ir arī mūsu galvenā bagātība un priekšnosacījums attīstībai.
Historically, Jūrmala has been developing as a destination point popular among tourists. The economy of the city has been based on tourism and related services. Our city is currently one of the leading centers in the Baltic Sea region in the field of recreation and business tourism, active recreation and culture. Balneology is our main treasure and a precondition for development.
Attīstības programmā līdz 2020. gadam pilsētai definēti noteikti strateģiskie mērķi, galvenais no tiem starptautiski pazīstams, moderns piekrastes kurorts un populārākā kurorta pilsēta Baltijas jūras reģionā. Tāpat nozīmīgs mērķis ir attīstīt pilsētu kā kvalitātes dzīves un atpūtas vietu ar augstu līmeņu kultūras pasākumiem un sporta aktivitāšu klāstu.
Such a development program until 2020 determines certain strategic goals, one of which is Jūrmala as an internationally known modern seaside resort and the most popular resort city in the Baltic Sea region. No less important goal is the development of the city as a high-quality place for living and recreation with high-level cultural events and a range of sports activities.
Tādēļ Jūrmala kā kurorta pilsēta mērķtiecīgi attīsta savu infrastruktūru, turismu, arī transporta un komunālo infrastruktūru. Nav iespējams iedomāties pilsētas mazas, vidējas vai lielas attīstības plānošanu bez ilgspējīgas darba resursu, dabas resursu izmantošanas.
Therefore, Jūrmala as a resort city has been purposefully developing its infrastructure, tourism, transport and public utility infrastructure. We cannot imagine the planning and development of the city, small, medium or big size, without paying a great attention to the sustainable development of the resources which have been granted to the city by the nature.
Jūrmalas pilsēta savā attīstībā balstās uz sinerģiju, efektīvas un ilgtspējīga rakstura izmantošana un tās iedzīvotājiem un viesiem pilnvērtīgu un kvalitatīvu pakalpojumu nodrošināšanu. Tam nepieciešama aktīva plānošana un darbība visos līmeņos – vietējā, nacionālā, Eiropas Savienības un starptautiskajā līmenī.
Jūrmala as a city in its development relies very much on synergy of effective and a sustainable use of the resources as well as attractive services to its citizens and guests. This requires planning and working at all levels, the local, national, European and international.
Tikai daži piemēri. Ar pilsētas, Eiropas Savienības un citu finanšu instrumentu finansējumu īstenot projektu pilsētas infrastruktūras sakārtošanai, gan energoefektivitātes jomā, gan drošības, izglītības, ekonomiskā attīstība un vides aizsardzības jomā.
Just few examples. With the financing provided by the city, European Union and other financial instruments, projects are being implemented to improve the city infrastructure in the field of energy efficiency, as well as in the field of security, education, economic development and environmental protection.
Jūrmalas pilsēta atbalsta plānošanu, kas vērsta uz ilgtspējīgu attīstību. Teritoriālā plānošanā nepieciešams salīdzvarot augstas kvalitātes dzīves un atpūtas līmeni un uzņēmēju darbības attīstību. Mēs vēršam arī uzmanību vēsturiskā mantojuma un moderno tehnoloģiju integrācijai. Minēšu tikai vienu no jaunākajiem piemēriem – Dzintaru koncertu zāli, kas ir iekļauta Latvijas kultūras kanonā. Renovācija. Tas ir labs piemērs kultūras un uzņēmēja darbības sinerģijai. Sabalansēts vēsturiskais mantojums, kuru aktīvi izmantojam koncertiem, konferencēm un citiem lieliem pasākumiem.
Jūrmala city supports the planning which is based on the sustainable development. Territorial development needs to foresee a good balance of a high-quality place for living and recreation and business possibilities. We also pay attention to the integration of the historical heritage and modern technologies. Just to mention the recent example, renovation of Dzintaru Concert Hall, which is included in the Latvian cultural canon. It is a good example of the synergy of culture and business, preservation of historical heritage and still active use of it for concerts, conferences and other events.
Novēlu jums visiem divas jaukas, veiksmīgas darba dienas un arī kādu mirkli no visa tā, ko iepriekš minēju, redzēt, izbaudīt, sajust savām acīm, lai jūs vēlreiz šeit atgrieztos un atvainojos, ka man būs jāskrien. Tiksimies vakarā. Es novēlu jums izbaudīt Jūrmalas pilsētas viesmīlību, kādi mēs esam, mēs jūs sagaidām un gaidām vēl.
I wish you all 2 days of good work and having time to explore some of the things I have mentioned about Jūrmala here in practice. I hope you will have time to enjoy our nature, our city, our culture. I do apologize that I need to leave now due to my work duties. I am looking forward meeting you at a reception this evening where we will have a cultural program. Therefore, have a fruitful work and enjoy our nice city, and we hope that one day you will come back as guests again.
Paldies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jūrmala City, for kind welcoming. And now I would like to ask the Deputy State Secretary of Ministry of Environmental Protection and Regional Development, Miss Ilona Raugze, to give a speech. I would like to say that Ilona is a real professional in the field of regional policy, have been working for this more than 10 years.
Good morning, dear ESPON family, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ESPON 2020 Cooperation Program Launch Seminar. On behalf of the Latvian Presidency and on behalf of the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Regional Development, I would like to express my appreciation to the ESPON team for their persistent work in drafting and finalizing the renewed ESPON program and for organizing this first event for the new program. It is our great honor to be a host country for the first discussions on policy and evidence expectations for the next 7 years of ESPON. We would like to emphasize the important role of ESPON program for developing a pan-European research platform. ESPON evidence on territorial developments and consequences of specific policies is significant for the development of future policy frameworks and strategies, particularly in regional development. We strongly believe that sustainable territorial development requires a cross-sectoral involvement and engagement with different stakeholders, including scientific communities. An ESPON program has always played an important role in building new knowledge networks and promoting knowledge transfer. Latvian Presidency has benefited greatly from the evidence provided by the ESPON projects. The synthesis of data and knowledge provided by ESPON has allowed us to put on the political agenda of the EU intergovernmental cooperation the topic of small and medium-sized urban areas. And this topic has eventually become the integral part of the upcoming EU urban agenda. The Minister of Environmental Protection and Regional Development has prepared a proposal for a political declaration identifying the main elements of the future EU urban agenda, main responsibilities among different players, and also highlighting the essential role of small and medium-sized urban areas in common territorial development and the achievement of EU strategic goals. The declaration is now submitted for agreement next week in Riga during the informal ministerial meeting of ministers responsible for territorial cohesion and urban matters. We believe that territorial evidence of the renewed ESPON program will provide a valuable contribution to the policy development at the European level and will support an evidence-based policy making at national and also subnational levels. In this respect, I think it is very crucial to ensure the widest possible outreach of ESPON project results, using existing structures like ESPON contact points, but searching for new, user-friendly tools and methods. Closing my speech, I would like to wish a great success to all ESPON stakeholders in the future work and also in launching the new ESPON projects and also disseminating the results of these projects. I'm very much looking forward to a fruitful seminar today, and I also hope it will help to build new partnerships for ESPON projects. So let us get inspired by our exchange on the new ESPON program today. Thank you.
Thank you much, Ilona. And now I'm giving the floor to Thiemo Eser, the professional being alongside with ESPON program since it was born. That means more than 10 years. Please, Thiemo, take the floor.
Thank you, Ingūna. Dear Ilona Raugze, dear Mrs. Sproģe from the municipality, dear participants of the seminar. It's really an honor to welcome you here on behalf of the whole ESPON Monitoring Committee encompassing 32 countries. At this event, which actually should give you the first insight about the new program. And we are very happy that you found the way here to Jūrmala. And I think Jūrmala is a proof of the variety of territories in Europe. And I think this is really a good place, and I'm happy that you organized it here to learn about Europe and the potentials and the challenges which are ahead. This is really an important moment for the program. It was approved by the Commission the 12th of February. We had on Monday the first monitoring committee meeting of the new ESPON 2020 program, and we were in the position to take important decisions to carry on with the implementation of the program. This is a result of a challenging way behind us. I mean, we had to set up a new structure. I will explain that later. We had to find the budget under the conditions of the crisis and to get the agreement by all member states and partner states. And I think we had very constructive discussions, and we had a result now which is really presenting a good way forward. We still have a way to go, and I think everybody who is involved in structural funds management knows that the hurdles are not getting lower regarding requirements, but on the other side, I think we find also a way to ease the participation on the user side and also on the producer side. So the good news, the program is there, it has a lot to offer, and it will be easier accessible to all those who want to benefit from the program and to participate. I will go in my second presentation more into detail, but just let me recall what's the aim of this seminar. This is firstly certainly to learn about the program and how you can participate and benefit, but also to understand the needs. I mean, the basic principle of the ESPON remains also the same for the new programming period. ESPON shall deliver territorial evidence. That's the first condition. But ESPON is only successful if the territorial evidence is used in the practical work, in the policy making. And only then we really have achieved our mission. It's now even more ambitious because under the new regulation, we have to set up a performance framework and it will be measured. So we are, of course, keen on understanding what is needed and how we can deliver on this. Now, having that, I just would like also to use the occasion to thank the organizing team here from the Latvian Presidency. I think we already experienced at the side of the management and the monitoring committee excellent conditions here, and I think we can see that so many people found a way here, that this is really an attractive place and inspiring. We also have a novelty. We have web streaming the first time in such an event, and this is also something we have to get used to. I would like also to welcome all our external guests. Nevertheless, we have one principle for these seminars, which actually is much related to being to the fact that participants are present here. And one of the traditions of the ESPON seminar is actually that we have always tried to motivate for an intensive dialogue between, on the one side, those who are presenting here, who are presenting here certain aspects, and those who are participating. So the audience plays an important role, and the whole seminar lives actually from the interaction between presenters and participants. So therefore, I'm happy you found a way here, and I think you have the advantage, being personally here, also to influence the program and the discussion, and I hope you take the opportunity and contribute to a vivid discussion. In that spirit, I thank you all, and I'm looking forward to a beneficial seminar for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Thiemo. And as Thiemo said, the main principle of today's conference or seminar will be active questions and answer session. So then that's why the introductory speech will be given by Thiemo. Will have to answer the questions. How is the third ESPON program generation supposed to contribute to the cohesion and territorial policies? How it's settled and adopted in CP? What are the main elements in the renewed ESPON program setting? What's the level of ambitions and what kind of challenges we will meet in coming 7 years? So I will give the floor now to Thiemo again, and please feel free to ask the questions after the presentation.
So thank you for the introduction, and sorry for me talking again in this set-up phase. Of course, the managing authority plays a stronger role until everything is in place, and the program is running in his working mode, if you like. So we are here to present you the approved ESPON 2020 program. And as Ingūna already said, we have some guiding questions. How is the third ESPON program generation supposed to contribute to cohesion policy, territorial cohesion? What are the main elements of the renewed program? And we would like to address that by touching upon the contribution to the EU 2020 strategy and cohesion policy, which are the main concerns of this program. Evaluating, we would like to look at evaluations which have been done in order to understand where are the main concerns for the renewal. We would like to look into program strategy, mission and specific objectives, targets groups, and of course into the budget. Now, and I think this is important to understand where we are heading to. We should look at where does the ESPON 2020 program supposed to contribute. And here we have to see that we have a context which is EU internal. So we can see that we have to deal with scarce resources in the public sector, crisis, environmental challenges, but we also have challenges which come from outside the EU and which have a territorial impact. We have increasing competition, we have climate change questions, we have, and this is becoming even more apparent nowadays, the question of borders, the external trade. We have the TIP treaty in discussion. So, and all these elements have a territorial impact. We also have the European 2020 strategy, and there certain priorities have been addressed. So 4 themes: research and innovation, the digital agenda, support for small and medium-sized enterprises, and low-carbon economy. And what is also apparent that the benchmarking and measurement of the achievement regarding these ambitions is much more targeted and will be much more closely monitored. And we also learned about the investment plan for Europe presented by the Juncker Commission, which will have an impact also on the territory. This was not discussed yet, but we have to face and we have to see and want to understand what's actually happening there. Then we have a contribution to bring in to the cohesion policy 2014-2020. We can see that the cohesion policy recognizes a more integrated, focused and result-oriented intervention logic here also, with the monitoring to identify the development on the ground is coming to the fore. We have thematic priorities which are sectorally guided, which then again raises the interest how that actually territorially is falling. And there is a clear intention to move beyond a one-size-fits-all approach to reflect the variety and diversity of Europe. And I think the mayor of Jūrmala very well expressed what they, from their local regional point of view, are dwelling on in order to bring the region forward. Then funds should be tailor-made, used to the specific place-based needs. And we have a number of instruments, the ITI, the local development initiatives, just to name a few, which need also territorial evidence to be implemented. Then we have the general question of economic, social, and territorial cohesion. This was frequently mentioned that the Lisbon Treaty elevated territorial cohesion to a core goal of the EU. We have member states and regions and neighboring countries who play an influential rule in territorial cohesion by formulating their sector policies, which have then an impact on territories. And you see the word impact, this is becoming more and more emerging, and we can see also later that impact assessment is a core concern of the Commission. So, and we have the territorial agenda, which underpins the territorial dimension of the EU 2020 strategy. And talking about the territorial agenda, it recognizes the territorial dimension of the challenges of globalization, innovation. So we see there are large overlaps also with regards to the ESPON, to the EU 2020 strategy, but here a much more territorial approach is chosen, and you can see that the priorities which are set for the policy are more territorially oriented, so polycentric development, integrated development in cities, cross-border transnational functional regions, global competitiveness of regions for local economies, ecological landscape, cultural values. I mean, I don't need to go into detail. You may all these very well. And just as an example for regarding the territorial agenda, a monitoring report providing territorial evidence in relation to these policy priorities was produced at the end of the old program. So there is a need for territorial evidence. This is concluded in the program. We have can see a shift, an emphasis on investments, performance monitoring. We can see that there is an increase in the demand for evidence. We, on the other side, need to recognize that high quality, relevant, and up-to-date territorial evidence is needed. We know that often data on the national level are much earlier available than on the regional level. That the cohesion policy further requests improvements on the territorial analysis, and we can see that also in the political debate, the interlinkages between territorial development and urban development is much more apparent, and Ilona was mentioning, I mean, this ministerial meeting is really an important step in that direction, and I think we can see also the activities of the Commission are pointing in the direction that we should not really understand territorial questions and urban questions as two separate policy fields, but we have to better understand the interlinkages, and I think here ESPON should bring a value added. And of course the whole question of benchmarking regions to understand where are the differences and also the opportunities for regions in Europe. So we had on the other side, and this, I mean, what I just said, that comes out of the policy context. On the other side, we had more practical messages from the policy arena when we were drafting the new program. And it's obvious that we had already achieved quite a good coverage of territorial evidence and addressee orientation of the results under the old program, but we can also see that the transfer still can be improved, that ESPON can be closer at the users, and that effort should be made in that direction. We, in that context, were also asked to find ways to bring more policy-relevant analysis upon demand, also in relation to the structural funds programs, that we ensure effective outreach and more user reach, if you like, to be able to help the results really getting into the policy process. Of course, the data question is an important and impertinent one, and scientific quality, this really is going without saying, that only sound methodologies can produce also reliable results. And it was also recognized that one of the challenges the old program had to face was that there was not enough in-house capacity actually to be on the spot when the evidence was needed, and that a major effort should be done to be more available and more on time and on the place available to support policy processes. And then I think this is also something which is not in use, that there was some administrative burden related, especially on the side of the production of ESPON evidence. And here the demand to leaner administrative procedure should be considered in a new setup. And one of the main elements in that regard was, instead of having the studies, the activities which were contracted via the ESPON, contracted in grant agreements and treating those as beneficiaries, rather to see them as service providers, which gives the opening to use public procurement on the one side, and on the other side would then relieve those researchers, institutions from going through all these financial control reporting and pre-financing issues in such a strict way. So this is the context, what we got from outside, but there was also the Commission and the Council active to set the context for the ESPON, and that was then to be found in the EC regulation. So there was a clear indication that reinforcing the effectiveness of cohesion policy should be supported by analysis of development trends in relation to the aims of territorial cohesion, territorial aspects, economic and social cohesion, and harmonious development of the European territory through studies, data collection, and other measures. So here, strengthening the evidence base, and this is actually the anchor for the ESPON program to be existing in this programming period. So here we could link in, and the idea was to contribute to the thematic objective 11 of the structural funds, institutional capacity building and efficient public administration. So it's a clear mandate to say, okay, we support the policy process, but this should not prevent us from delivering evidence to all the 11 thematic objectives which are mentioned in the structural funds regulation. So this is our, if you like, our legal background to set up the program. Then this is an exercise which has to be done for all structural programs to specify who are the target groups of the program. And here you can see on the user side the European policymakers, national policymakers, the authorities implementing the European structural and investment funded programs, regional local policymakers. And we had to also distinguish in that regard those who are helping to produce all this evidence, and university academics, researchers, research organizations. And what is also sometimes forgotten, that of course for territorial development the private sector is key. I mean, where's the economic development taking place? It's there where the investments are taking place on that territory. So every investment has to find its place, and in that regard we should also focus to reach this audience. So putting all these elements together, a mission statement was found for the ESPON 2020, program by member states together with the Commission, ESPON shall continue the consolidation of a European territorial observatory network and grow the provision and policy use of pan-European comparable, systematic and reliable evidence. So this is our mission statement, and on the base of this, now we had to define our program strategy, which then also is the base for our performance monitoring, if you like. So the enhanced use of territorial evidence in policy making, that we implement applied research and analysis, knowledge transfer for policy processes, that we monitor policy, territorial trends, potential challenges, and provide the analytical tools for that, and ensure effective, timely, and prompt communication and outreach to support the use by the stakeholders. So you can see there are key points which are not entirely new for us, but they have been spelled out in a very explicit way, and this is then also the orientation for us to further develop the measures to be financed under the program. So this then strategy translates itself in specific objectives, and here you can see we have continued production of territorial evidence. These are, for those who are familiar with the old program, the 2013 program, they are similar to these applied research projects, and they should build the base, if you like, for the knowledge of the ESPON. Then a second objective, upgraded knowledge transfer and analytical user support. Here the ideas are going in the direction to continue user demand oriented actions, but also more close, more shorter, and we will come back to these kind of deliveries in the second part of our presentation, which takes then place tomorrow. Then the territorial observation and tools for territorial analysis. We have something consistent to start off and to further develop this, and a wider outreach and uptake, and here we will be aiming at developing further measures to be more close to the users and to support the usability of the results. And of course, this leaner and effective, efficient program implementation, which has some specific organizational issues. So the program structure was then quite simply built up in a way that we only define two priority axes. One, which is dealing with the content of the ESPON program, so dealing with the objectives 1 to 4, and the second one with the management. And this is priority axis 2, technical assistance, which then will be implemented by the Ministry of Sustainable Development Infrastructure, where I'm coming from, as in the function of the managing authority. Now, administrative setup, you have the classical structure as in all structural fund supported programs. You have a monitoring committee, and here, as I said, we are supported by 32 member states, so the EU member states, Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland. Managing authority, certifying authority, this is our known, an audit authority, and we have the functions of a joint secretariat, for those who are familiar with the ESPON 2013 program, where the coordination unit was very active. Then in the future assumed by the managing authority. And how does that come? Because we define under the program a single beneficiary, one structure who actually implements the whole part, the whole content part of the program in a single operation. And here the main bulk, if you would like, of managing all these activities which then are coming out of this single operation will be implemented, and therefore the main staff, which has previously been the coordination unit, will then be active in this single beneficiary. And for that purpose, there was a new institutional organization built, an ESPON EGTC, a European grouping for territorial cooperation, which has only 4 members, the 3 Belgian regions and Luxembourg. And this is also in order to keep it slim, because it's just a host for the implementation of the program. So there is no, if you like, no interest of these members to really steer the program. The steering is going via the monitoring committee, the steering of the or monitoring of the operation. These 3 members, if you like, they just ensure that the management of this structure is done in a proper way, and that all provisions are there to implement the operation in an efficient way. We have also, as another element, the ESPON contact point network, which is focusing then on the outreach activities at the transnational and the national level. And this will be also a very important element of the implementation of the ESPON 2020 program. We will go more in detail about these different institutions and the roles and in the second presentation tomorrow. So just to cover up, I mean, I talked in the beginning about money. This is, of course, an important issue, and here we can say that the ERDF contribution was significantly raised by the Commission. Here we received more finance contribution of 20%. EU member states contribution amounts to 7.3. The partner states, so Switzerland, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway, contribute 1.8 million euros. And as managing authority, we give also support to the program by human resource and providing premises and so on. So we can look at a spending of around 50 million for the coming programming period, and the by far biggest share is reserved for the priority axis 1, so for the ESPON EGTC to implement the program. And you can see that the technical assistance, which covers everything, the administration, audit, and so on, stays at around 3 million euros. So we can really say that we managed to focus all the spending on the content part of the program as far as possible under the given condition of the regulation. So there is also a tentative timetable. You know, we are always try to be ambitious and optimistic, and you can see that here in February we had the EC approval by the Commission. We had the EGTC inaugurated, and at the moment it's being made operational. On Monday we had the monitoring committee meeting, the first monitoring committee of the program, where we had important decisions on the provisions to invite the ESPON EGTC as a single beneficiary to prepare a proposal for the single operation. Now we are here on the 3rd or 4th of June at the ESPON seminar launch event in Latvia, in Jūrmala. We will have a launch briefing in mid of June in the Committee of Regions, and there I talk now about the future. We are preparing for inviting the ESPON EGTC to do this operation proposal, which then has to be submitted by the EGTC to the managing authority and to the monitoring committee to be evaluated. Maybe also a date which can be interesting for you. There will be a big conference about 25 years of Interreg in Europe where ESPON will be present. We expect about more than 500 people. It's in the framework of the Luxembourg EU presidency. Then we hope that this operation proposal can be approved in October by the monitoring committee, and then the activities may start end of October, beginning of November, which means that the ESPON EGTC should be in the position to tender then studies, which means public procurement, and where the proposals can be handed in by interested researchers. So this is a tentative timetable. It's ambitious. It has for sure some optimism, but we are keen on getting now the boat offshore and to really start and the activities of the program. As I said, we will have on tomorrow morning more further detailed presentations on several aspects, but I hope that gave you a first idea about where we are heading to with the new 2020 program. So welcome at the new ESPON program, and thank you for your interest and attention, and I think we have some time for some questions. Thank you.
So, thank you, Thiemo, for such a comprehensive presentation. And personally, I would like you to formulate what will be the three main differences between existing or former ESPON 2030 and the coming ESPON 2020, just to be more user-friendly and like user-oriented. Just to say in simple, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean the ambition is to be more user-friendly and user-oriented, and I think we have to listen very carefully, and that's also the objective of the seminar here, to what are the needs. I mean, we set this policy framework where ESPON should be contribute, but what does it mean really in detail? And to focus then the activities within this operation, which will be proposed by the ESPON EGTC. There, all the elements will come together. This EGTC will work on first on a framework for the whole programming period, and then on annual work plans. And we have really the possibility then to adapt year by year the activities. As I said, to come closer to the user will be part of this outreach strategy and the user demand, and there are many ideas in the pipeline with policy briefs and so on to be more close, more user-friendly and more straight at the spot present with the ESPON.
Yes, I asked this question because during the previous period we really faced the problems how to explore and capitalize the ESPON results at the national level, because for sure we have a researchers community and scientists community where it's used to know what does it mean, all those definitions and indicators, but when it's come to the policy making level, we have to explain and be more simple and more addressed and more targeted to be able to capitalize the ESPON knowledge. So, and now I would like to ask, I will give the floor to you. Please feel free, ask questions Our colleagues will help you with microphones. Is there some? Who will be the first? Okay. Okay. Then to warm up the seminar, we would like to make a family photo for the first. Before we will leave for the coffee break, I will ask my colleague Christine to arrange you to be able to make the family photo at the same room we are now. Please, Christine, help us to arrange this one. The coffee break will be at the same floor, just around the corner outside
and
this.
the other corner as
yeah.
well. We have
Yeah.
split one part in that side
Okay.
and one part in that side.
Okay.
That side is more for smokers because
So-
there's a designated area as well for that, and that is
Yeah.
for how you decide. The intention is to make the family photo on that side. Those who sit here may sit, but those who sit here may come and stand in the behind, so we can make a photo where all of you are inside. So that will be a small morning exercise, and let's just keep our traditions with the family photo, please.